Now we have the first date and the gist of how the proceedings will work, but let's go deeper into understand the process better. Our correspondent Kim Do-yeon joins us here. Do-yeon, we heard a few things being announced, including the first date and judges overseeing the investigation. Can you break it down to help keeping our viewers up to speed?
Right. So we saw the Constitutional Court Justice met earlier today and decided on a few things, like you said. The date for the first preparatory hearing is Friday, December 27th at 2 p.m. Investigation records from the prosecution, police, etc. will be secured at an early date, according to the press officer. Now, before the oral arguments begin, they will see what the two sides are claiming and also what evidence will be used. And that's what the court will be discussing with the two sides here at the preparatory hearing. And as we heard, the justice in charge of that process will be Lee Mi-sun and Chung Young-sik. Also announced earlier was that this impeachment case will be the top priority among the court's impeachment cases. Currently, there are 8 other impeachment cases brought to the Constitutional Court that came before this. As was said during the briefing, Yoon's impeachment review will come first. Also, we saw from Eun's report that the court refrained from revealing the presiding judge for this case, which is customary. But it's been reported that Yoon-appointed Judge Chung Young-sik has been named as the presiding judge for this case. This role is picked randomly through a computer, but it's a key role for any case. The presiding judge will lead the discussion and voting among the bench while also leading the proceedings and drafting the initial version of the court's decision. So having a Yoon appointee for this role is significant.
Now, it'll be the National Assembly's impeachment team versus President Yoon. These hearings will be public too. Do we know who's going to lead the two sides?
Well, former Korea Communications Commission chief under President Yoon Suk-yeol, Kim Hong-il, is set to lead the legal team for President Yoon. Kim is also a former prosecutor, and Yoon showed a lot of faith in him, appointing him to 2 different posts that needed presidential appointments during the past 2.5 years. Looking at past cases, former impeached President Park Geun-hye had a team of around 20 attorneys. Also for former President Roh Moo-hyun, it was a team of 12 attorneys, and it was famously led by former President Moon Jae-in. As for the team leading the impeachment, it will be led by Chung Cheong-rae, the chair of the National Assembly Legislative and Judiciary Committee. Earlier today, a lawmaker from DP said the impeachment commission is being formed and a detailed announcement could be made as early as tomorrow. And as a reminder, the two sides will argue over 2 main things. Was the declaration of martial law according to the authority given to the president by the Constitution? And was the president's attempt to take over the National Assembly an act of insurrection?
Now, let's take a look at who's on the bench. It takes 6 out of 9 judges to say that the impeachment is reasonable, given the 2 things that you pointed out there. Who are the judges and how do they lean?
Jungmin, as repeated many times, the Constitutional Court currently has 6 active sitting justices, and it will take all 6 at the moment to agree with the impeachment motion to confirm the impeachment. Let's take a look at the 6 judges and how they lean, because being liberal would more or less mean they are for impeachment. Moon Young-bae, the acting president of the Constitutional Court, is a liberal judge. One thing to note is that his term ends next April, which is within the 180 days for the court to decide. However, considering the past cases, it's likely not going to be that long. Lee Mi-sun is also a liberal judge whose term also ends with Moon's. The 2 were appointed by former President Moon Jae-in, of course a liberal president. Kim Young-do and Chung Jung-mi were both appointed by former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Kim Myung-soo, who's a former President Moon appointee. But they tend to lean moderate to conservative. Chung Young-sik, as his name was mentioned before, the presiding judge for this case is the only Yoon appointee with, of course, moderate conservative views. Kim Bok-hyung was also moderate to conservative. So again, 2 liberal, 4 moderate to conservative.
Do-yeon, now the 3 vacancies, of course, need to be filled. Is it going to be in time, and what do we know so far?
So we know the recommendations made from the National Assembly so far, 2 from the main opposition and 1 from the ruling. They need to go through a hearing session at the National Assembly with lawmakers coming up with a report on the hearing. Then the acting president or Prime Minister Han Duck-soo will formally appoint him. Remember, right now, it only takes one judge to turn the impeachment down. But if these 3 are appointed fast enough to review and rule, it will take 4 judges from the bench to turn down the impeachment.
A lot to take in. Thanks, Yoon, for the report.
Thank you for having me.